Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Moneyline MMA Live, coming into you January 27th to bring the coming picks for UFC Saudi Arabia. We're going to see Izzy versus Nasruddin Imavov as the main event of a pretty stacked card, to be honest. I'm pretty excited about what we've got here for a non-pay-per-view. We've got some really exciting, the co-main MVP is against Shara. Feature fight, Sergey Pavlovich versus Rosenstrike. This is a pretty good card, I would say. And, this could be arguably as good as like a low-end pay-per-view. A low-end pay-per-view for sure. But, you stick a women's belt fight as the main event on this after Izzy and Nasruddin Imavov, and you've got yourself a pay-per-view. Seriously, especially considering we've even got a recent fight cancellation of Ikram Askarov and Andre Muniz. Andre Muniz specifically having visa issues. So that said, we've got some adjusted picks for you with that considered. Before we go too deep into our picks for this Saturday, let's quickly discuss last Saturday. We had a good weekend overall. Jailton Almeida was my 5-weight. Got the job done. Jailton Almeida, honestly, what I will say though, I was least expecting it to be via KO, if I'm being honest. Of course, this happened 2 weeks ago, but Almeida gets the win by KO, and Sergey Spivak was the one that landed the early takedown and had the early pressure. And Almeida was like, no, this isn't how the fight's going to go. And was able to get the knockout. Very interesting. Almeida, a blossoming prospect, showing he's got more to his game than just takedowns. Jose's 5-weight. Jiri. Jose and I were both confident in Jiri, as he was my 4-weight. So, talk about a beautiful money line lock of the week. 9 confidence points combined. And Jiri gets the job done via KO in the 3rd round. Kind of worked Jamal Hill the whole fight. I felt like he was getting the decision easily if it got to that point, but ended up getting the finish there. And Pereira, from what I understand, already accepted that after Magomed, it might be a 3rd iteration of Jiri coming his way. And Alex is getting a little older, so we might see some interesting predictions coming up here for that. But otherwise, I had a pretty clean night. The only fight I ended up losing was Umar. So respect to Merab, man. Merab is just a stud. And I love that he was able to beat Umar. And Umar's over there, like, complaining after the fight to Joe Rogan in the post-fight interview. Like, I think I did enough to win. Yeah, right, buddy. You lost unanimously. Get out of here. Love all the memes I've been seeing throughout the last week and a half since, or I guess week and a couple of days since that's happened. And then, of course, Islam does all we expected him to do. And honestly made it even look potentially easier than we might have thought he would. Hanato Moicano came into that cage huge, man. He was definitely bigger than Islam, and it did not matter. Islam finished him easy, so gonna have to give Islam a tougher shot than that. But yeah, that said, a flawless night for your boy over here, outside of one 2-weight loss on Umar Nurmagomedov. And then, of course, Jose also had the 2-weight on Umar. Jose was correct with Rainier Ritter beating Kevin Holland. And I think I said I didn't have a pick, and I think I said I would have picked Kevin Holland, even though he wasn't a weight. So good thing I didn't make him a weight. But yeah, that said, moving forward, just as anyone is new here, we do our picks here in a 5-weight system. We pick 5 of what's currently listed to be, I believe, 13. Only 11 now with a couple cancellations. 11 total fights for UFC Saudi Arabia. We pick 5 of them and weigh those picks in order of confidence, with 5-weight being the most confident, and of course 1-weight being the least confident. 5-weight is our lock of the week, and then the most combined confidence points between us both is the Moneyline MMA lock of the week. Of course, we make these picks separately, and then right before the show, we just discuss those picks so we know what order to go in, because we always start with our locks of the week. With that said, my lock of the week for Saturday afternoon UFC Saudi Arabia is going to bring us to the co-main event. This is an interesting I think Jose was a little surprised to hear this one when I said it. And some people might hate me for this, and some people might vehemently be on my side for this. But I'm going to be taking Michael Venom Page, the underdog. Co-main event, plus 148. Sharo Magomedov is minus 192. First point is excuse me the value. Michael Venom Page has been there and done that in the MMA for how long now? Consistently showing he's one of the best. Yes, okay, he loses to Ian Gary. Ian Gary, we also can agree, is a stud, man. And other than that, MVP has such a unique style. And look, I love Sharo Magomedov, but I just don't feel like he necessarily like actively finds knockouts as much as he just kind of flows with the fight, throws jabs, throws kicks. I don't think Michael Venom Page is going to allow him to get into a flow at any rate at all. And to be honest, I question if Shara's vision is going to be enough for Michael Venom Page because but MVP stands with his arms down. Like he literally will look like this to him, to Shara. And it's like, where are his hands coming from? They're going to come down low. They're going to come up high. They're going to come out wide. They're going to come in. They're going to come all over the place. And I question if Shara will be ready for that. And if I'm correct in that questioning, I think MVP can easily win this fight by decision. I think Shara alone would have lost. I mean, I can make an argument that he wasn't going to win that fight against Petrosian by decision, or at least like because he got that KO at the end of the second round. Maybe it was 1-1 going into round 3, but it was close is my point. And MVP would dice up Armen Petrosian on the feet. I think this is just a different level almost. I don't think this is the same level of stand-up game that he's going to see. And he already didn't, like, yes, he got the KO, but I'm not convinced that he was decisively beating Armen Petrosian that whole time. So in my opinion, I love MVP here. You take him plus 3.5 if you're able to bet on FanDuel or DraftKings. You take him money line. He's plus 148. I mean, the value to me is insane. I think his style is just too different for Shara, and I'm not ready to quite ride that hill with Shara on such a 2-1 bet, especially against a tenured veteran like MVP. Jose, thoughts?
Yeah, Nick. So for this one, I do like your pick a lot of Michael Venom Page. I think this card overall has a lot of exciting fights, striking matches. That is, like with the main event as well. And that being said, Shara is a phenomenal striker as well. And I think this one, I'm gonna lean towards Shara. He is my one way, and I just wanted to get that off my chest. Like, if I how much I respect MVP because I do think MVP the biggest threat that I think he shows to Shara, I would say, is going to be his reach advantage. I mean, we have two phenomenal strikers, but at the end of the day, I do think Michael Venom Page with a 6-inch reach advantage is going to probably get the better end of those exchanges. And as you mentioned, Shara did he did get clipped a few times against Armin and was being pushed back against Armin. But the reason I'm leaning towards Shara though is because the style of Michael Venom Page, as you mentioned, he puts his hands down. It's that karate point style. But the thing is Shara, I think what he'll do is just he's going to continue throwing crazy moves himself and keep pressing forward, which is what he did against Armin when he fought Armin most recently. He took some, but he took some to throw to land some as well, and I think that may be his key factor to victory in this one against Michael Venom Page. The thing would be I can see Michael Venom Page kind of being on his toes and backing up a lot as well, and Shara having to be the one being forced to press forward. And that being said, I think Shara may get like control time because of that as well, and I do think he's going to land some clean shots, but other than that, it's going to be a close one. I think if whoever wins, it's going to be. I think it's going to be almost unanimous. And if Shara wins unanimous as well, I think he may even have to. He may incorporate some more wrestling, even though he's not really known to be a wrestler. I could see him just having to incorporate a lot more wrestling and implement a similar game style to like Ian Gary and just hold Michael Venom Page down. So if Michael Venom Page does start clipping Shara too much, I will not be surprised if all of a sudden Shara starts becoming a wrestler and try to hold Michael Venom Page down and just try to get the win that way. And it may not be as fun. It may be even more boring, but I do think majority of the fight would be on the feet, and it would be a back and forth battle. So that being said, yeah, Shara is my one way because Michael Venom Page, I think, can win unanimously via reach. And Shara, if he wins, I think it's just going to have to be closing the distance, throwing a barrage of bullets. And I think there he would rack up the points along with the control time if Michael Venom Page does continuously back up throughout the fight. So I'm going with Shara in this one, but he is my one weight. He has no physical advantage over Michael Venom Page. He even has a disadvantage with his eye, I would say. But that being said, yeah, Shara is my one weight for this one.
Sounds good, man. Yeah, and that's fair, dude. Because Shara, I definitely agree, has improved throughout the couple of fights we've seen him. I guess for me, it's just partially a doubt in the step up in competition. But if Shara does get the win here, man, I'm super excited. Like he's a stud. I'm super excited to see what he can do with his career. And even if he doesn't win, I still think he's going to be able to continue improving and be a real threat going forward. I mean, he's still he's 30 years old, so he's really not even. He's at the very middle kind of his prime. He's got 2 more years, 3 more years of a prime, and I could make the opposite argument with MVP, where he's definitely at the core end of his UFC career, the end of his relevant fighting career at 37 years old. A couple more real competitive fights until MVP is probably a guy to fade. But for now, I really think MVP is just too much of a veteran, too savvy. Been there, done that too much to really be rattled by Shara. And with that, I think the value is there. But either way, that'll be my 5 weight and Jose's 1 weight for Shara. And we'll go to Jose's 5 weight.
Yeah, and so for my 5 weight, this guy reminds me a lot of MVP as well, and it's actually the main event. It's this is the fight between Izzy Adesanya and Nasruddin Imavov. Right now, Israel, he is the betting favorite at -188, while Nasruddin Imavov is the betting underdog at +146. This one itself is also going to be a striker's delight. I think this one, I just like Izzy so much just because, again, he does remind me of MVP, but I would say even better. And he has just their flashy kicks and high kickboxing IQ is such a legit dangerous weapon, and not to mention just his reach as well. I think him being 6'4" and Nasruddin is 6'3", and Izzy is obviously the slightly taller fighter here, but in terms of reach, yeah, Izzy himself also has a high reach. He has a 5-inch reach advantage over Nasruddin Imavov, and when it comes to significant strikes landed per minute, I mean, both guys, Israel lands 4 significant strikes per minute, and Nasruddin 4.51, and both absorb a very low amount, both in the 3.2 range. So I really like it's going to be they're going to be definitely landing a lot more than receiving. Well, at least one of them will for sure. And that being said, I think Izzy is just going to be the one landing most of them again, given his reach. And I just don't see Nasruddin like in the last fight we just talked about. I can see Shara pressing forward and taking some hits to get some in return to land his own in return. But with Nasruddin, I don't think I really see that with him. I would feel like he may just actually back up and retreat a little more. And I think Izzy, I think this fight, I don't know if Izzy finishes Nasruddin, but I definitely see Izzy probably winning this most likely by unanimous decision. That's the best way I view this one. I like Izzy a lot. We haven't seen him in a while, and he hasn't won in a while, but I mean, his last win was against Alex Pereira, and that was in the 2nd round. And I think, if Izzy, he has the power to finish people, and so if he wanted to, I think he could kind of break Nasruddin down, similar to what Alex Pereira did with Khalil Roundtree. And that being said, yeah, I think either he wins unanimously or he actually will finish Nasruddin. Because, yeah, like Izzy's, like if it wasn't for Alex Pereira, it's Izzy's king. And then there's also Robert Whittaker up there. And then, yeah, there's Drake Duplessis. Like, it's just a killer's role. And I think Izzy can hang with those dudes. And Nasruddin, he is good, but I haven't seen him really hang enough with those top dudes. Like, I do like the wins he has, and over like Brandon Allen, Jared Cannonier, and Roman Dolidze, and even that Joaquin Buckley one has aged well right now. But he does have that loss to Sean Strickland, and that was just a couple years ago. And so I just do, and Izzy has that loss as well. But in this one, I just think that Israel Adesanya has just had has been at the top a lot longer and has faced elite level competition and has proven to beat that elite level competition just a lot more than Nasruddin. So that's why I'm just heavily going with Izzy on this one. And not to mention, just the short layoff he's had, hasn't fought in a minute. I think he's just going to come back and looking really sharp. So that being said, yeah, I'm actually heavy on Izzy. He is my 5 weight. What are your thoughts on this one, Nick?
Man, I'll agree. So we'll have an agreement here after that disagreement. I'm a little less confident though. He's my two weight. Izzy's my two weight just because I'm a little worried about Imavov's potential wrestling threat. I don't think it's going to be too big of a problem, but I do think there's a slight chance that Imavov recognizes an advantage and trains to at least try and push a wrestling pace. He's never landed more than 3 takedowns in his UFC career, and there's a couple of fighters that have out wrestled him very clearly. So I'm not saying Imavov's a great wrestler. I'm just saying there's a threat of a potential wrestling game plan if he feels, outstruck, or if he feels, like he needs to get a couple of minutes of control time to win the round potentially. But in the end, Izzy's going to have the striking advantage for sure. Izzy, to me, I refuse to believe Izzy's just fell off. And yeah, he lost to Strickland, and yeah, he lost to Duplessis. I refuse to believe he's just fell off because he's lost to the last 2 belt holders of the division. I think we've all known that Izzy's time is going to come. Like, honestly, I thought it was going to be Khamzat a couple of years ago because of Khamzat's wrestling pace. He was just going to get on Izzy's back and take him out. Khamzat unfortunately still hasn't gotten his chance, and he's sure better soon. After Sean Strickland and Dricus duke it out coming up here in a couple of weeks or months. I forget exactly when that next fight is, but they're training for it now. But in any case, I just refuse to believe that Izzy's just fell off. Like I said, like 2 times already. And I still think he's by far the better striker here. He's got the more, he's got the propensity to get the finish more. I think get the decision. The only thing Imavov really has that chance to lean on is potential wrestling. I think Izzy should recognize that. I think Izzy trains with some of the best. He knows everything that's right for him in the way he trains. So, yeah, definitely give me Izzy here, 2 weight. Slightly less confident for the reasons I listed, but in the end, I'm still happy to take Izzy all day left and right. I think you're getting some good value too at minus 188. Think about this, Izzy's not as big of a favorite as Shara, and to me that is crazy. To me that is not of like that's wild. People have money to make out there betting on these fights. Although I know Jose disagrees slightly with Shara, but Izzy is still good value. We do agree on that.
Oh yeah, 100%. And the thing is, yeah, like again, Nasruddin extremely dangerous. And I mean, if Nasruddin wins, it would be surprising for me to see him win unanimous in this one. It would have to be, I think, almost finishing Izzy, which I mean has been done, but I just don't think Nasruddin is that guy. So yeah, that being said, this one 100%. Yeah, we agree. Izzy Adesanya.
Sounds good. So yeah, that said, that's gonna move us to my 4 weight. So my 4 weight is gonna be one of the fights that I actually kind of started. I bumped down. I bumped out of another pick of mine. I'm still pretty confident in Mike Davis here. He's fighting Fares Ziam. This is a preliminary fight. Of course, in the lightweight division, Fares Ziam has been great lately. He's on a 4 fight win streak, 4-1 in his last 5, only having lost to Terrence McKinney versus submission a couple of years ago. Ziam to me just isn't really but thing is 3 of those wins were by decision, right? And I guess there's no obligation to being flashy. There's no obligation to destroying your opponent, right? But there's no doubt that guys like Shara getting a double spinning back fist KO bring more hype, and it brings more wow, this guy's got to be a stud. So he gets favored over MVP and stuff like that. Mike Davis has also won 4 of his 5 last fights. He's in the same situation. He's just had some injury issues for sure, and that led him to only having 1 fight last year. And this is his first fight this year, so it's one of those spots where he needs to get kind of going a little bit. And that's one of the reasons I didn't make him say my 5 weight, because he doesn't have as much he isn't as active as I'd like a guy to be as of late. But that's really one of the only things I can have against him in my opinion. I think he's got all the tools to beat Fares Ziam here. I think he's way more dangerous in terms of getting a finish. I think Ziam is a good technical fighter for sure. But Mike Davis, I mean, his nickname or whatever is Beast Boy for a reason. 7 KOs, 0 KO losses. I think he's gonna bring it to Fares Ziam. I think he's like a dog in a cage waiting to be let out in the aspect of he hasn't been able to fight that much. So yes, he might not be the youngest like spring chicken of ages, but he's also not in his upper 30s either. And like I said, he hasn't fought a whole lot. So being 32 with only 13 professional fights and the experience he has, I think he brings it on Saturday. Jose, what do you think?
This one, yeah. So this one is going to be another disagreement for us. This one I actually got for us, but he is my two weight, and the reason is that I've never gone wrong with Faraz. I've liked him. I think every time he's fought, I've picked him, and that knee to Matt Favola was insane. And besides that, like I think he in general is just I think his reach is a slight the 2.5 reach advantage that he has is sorry his two 3.5 reach advantage that he has is I'm sorry I'm just like blanking out right now I messed up my tabs up but his reach advantage and I think it's going to be another slight key in this one. And not to mention that Mike Davis, he's just his last few fights, as you mentioned, he's not been as active. And to me, that's been kind of the reason why I kind of just pushed away from him. And he is legit, and he's a tank, and he does have heavy hands out of his 11 wins, 7 of them via KO/TKO. And that could be a big problem connecting with Faraz. But for us, he's actually never been finished or TKO'd. So if anything, it seems like the biggest weakness that Faraz has is getting submitted. And I don't see Mike Davis submitting him. So I'm going with Faraz Zaim just because Faraz Zaim because. Just because of how active he's been. He's fought twice last year, and then he's fought once in 2023 and twice in 2022. And just the level of the names, they both these guys have good names on their records. But I just being like Jai Herbert, Matt Favola, and he lost to Terrence McKinney, which is not really saying too much. But that being said, like this one I'm going for Ross. He is my two weight, but he's just so low because Mike Davis, I think what he offers is he could probably put out for us, but I think it's just going to be like a tank just stepping forward and eating some shots and just really trying to just put him out and almost like in a similar fashion like how Ilia Topuria did when he finished Jai Herbert. So I can see like Mike Davis almost winning in a similar fashion like that. But it won't be easy because again, Faraz has never been knocked out before, and the way I see Faraz winning this one, the way I see him winning this is just going to be. I feel more it's just like it's hard to say. I would say more just decision. He's not as of lately. I feel like he's more of a decision type of guy, even though he does have that KO. But that was more just. Matt Favola also just being tired and just not thinking like it wasn't a good fight IQ move at all on his half. So that being said, it was more. I would say it was just more of a Matt Favola being gassed out, if anything. So this one, I would say I'm going for us, and if anything, it would be more decision. So, that's my pick. This is one where we'll disagree on, Nick.
Sounds good, man, and those are fair points for sure. I think Mike Davis is honestly, there's a decent chance that he comes in and gets the KO or gets KO'd, right? I think it's going to be there's a potential that he comes in aggressive, comes in hot, and I just think he's going to catch Ziam a little bit on his heels. I think he's going to be the one stepping forward in the ring and even if it does go to a decision in that case, it'll look better on the judges' scorecard if you're the one stepping forward in most of those exchanges. But in any case, like Jose said, we'll disagree. I got Mike Davis as my 4-weight. Jose's got Ziam as his 2-weight, and we'll go to Jose's 4-weight next.
So for my 4-weight, this is back to the main card. This is the bantamweight.
Oh, Jose, I think you're lagging a little bit on my end here. Yeah, I think that's not me, is it?
Said Nurmagomedov.
Jose's yeah, Jose's definitely cutting down a little bit, but he like I don't know how much. He's got to pick on Said Nurmagomedov versus
Are we good?
Vinicius Oliveira. Oh, there we go. Jose, can you hear us now?
All right, I'm good. Yeah, I was
There it
seeing my
is.
connection. Okay, all
Yeah,
good
yeah, yeah.
now.
We stopped hearing you right as you were saying you were back on the main card to Said versus Oliveira.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So for this, yeah, this for this bantamweight bout,
Yeah.
I'm going with Said Nurmagomedov. He is the betting favorite at -205, while Oliveira is the betting underdog at +158. This one, I'm gonna go with Said again. This whole card again. I just is a striker's delight, and I'm going with Said. He's a phenomenal striker, and he is a good wrestler as well. Just doesn't get enough credit for it, just because how phenomenal his striking is. But Vinicius Oliveira as well. This one, he's himself is this going to be he's got I think it's almost a similar story in this case where he also himself is a phenomenal striker, but it's got good grappling. So in this one, and this one, I'm gonna have to go with Nurmagomedov just because how the role he's been on. He's just lost to Jonathan Martinez, but Martinez as well. He's one of those top dogs up there. He fought McGee and Jose Aldo, Adrian Yanez, Cubs ones. Like he was like up there and about like almost like in talks about like possibly being in line for a title contention, but things have not gone his way lately. But that being said, like no shame in the losing to him. He comes back and gets a submission win, and as if anything, Saeed's actually been winning more lately via submissions. His last two wins do come via submission. Come via submission, and before that, he had a decision win over Douglas Silva de Andrade, and he's got the KO power as well. While Vinicius himself, he's just a stopping machine. So if he wins, it would be Saeed's never been finished before, so I think this night will definitely be the first for a lot of these fighters that have their first time getting KO'd. But I can see Saeed getting finished by Vinicius Oliveira as well. So, but that being said, at the end, like I'm heavily going with Saeed just based off his size as well. They kind of match up a little evenly, but that being said, like his grappling too. I think it's going to be Saeed in this one, 100%. I know I'm just being a dead horse with this one. So, Nick, do you have any thoughts on this fight?
I do, man. I have another disagreement for you here. This is my one weight though, so my least confident of my five picks is on Vinicius Oliveira. I think it's a similar situation to the last kind of handicap I had, where I think Vinicius Oliveira is just slightly more dangerous. I'm taking a guy who I think like Saeed. Saeed we know is like, yeah, he's got some submission wins under his belt. So I'm not saying he's a slouch, but in general, he does traditionally stand and do more boxing than wrestling and jiu-jitsu than most like of his Dagestani brethren, whatever you would want to say. He's only averaging one takedown per 15 minutes. So that said, I like Oliveira's standing. I think Oliveira's he's only had 3 fights in the UFC, so it's a limited sample size there, but Vinicius Oliveira's got a striking standing difference of 5.87 standing and 2.87 absorbed. So, man, I'm pretty impressed by that differential there. He's dealing a lot more damage than he's taking, and Saeed is as well, but only damaging 3.5 strikes as opposed to 5.8 from Vinicius. So I'm just expecting a lot more aggressiveness and a lot more potential knockout power from Vinicius. I think there's a decent chance he gets clipped by Saeed for sure, and that's kind of why he's my one weight. I also, because I have some confidence in the other picks above him for sure. He's my one weight more than my zero weight, right? But in any case, I really think Vinicius has a good chance to bring the power and wow the judges with some more, or even the crowd in general with some swings, or get the KO and not need the judges in general. And with that, he is a plus 158 dog. So I'll take the value there. I guess I'm taking a few dogs on Saturday afternoon, but to me, the dogs are going to be barking.
I love it. Yeah, and This one, yeah, I guess Saeed is my four-way, and honestly, I think I would view him winning this more by decision. I just don't see him actually really finishing Oliveira, but as you mentioned, I think Oliveira would bring a higher pace coming back because of his high volume of punches, and it could be, I think, Saeed's first time getting knocked out over Oliveira, but if Saeed does not get knocked out, I just do think his fight IQ is so high up there that he could win this unanimously. So this is one we're definitely both disagreeing on, but I have Saeed as my four way, and you have Oliveira as your one way.
Yes, sir. So that I believe takes us down to the last fight on our card because we all both took the same fights, same prelim, believe it or not. Without having discussed it ahead of time, we took the same prelim, and therefore only have 5 fights to discuss as opposed to what we actually have had a lot of times as 6 lately. But this will be the last. This is actually by process of elimination both of our 3 weights. We'll see if we agree or not. So far, we have more disagreements than agreements. But for my 3 weight of Saturday afternoon, it's going to be Sergey Pavlovich fighting Jairzinho Rosenstrike in the heavyweight division. Of course, this is the feature fight, third last fight of the night. Big boys coming in here, and honestly, this is just me kind of thinking, like, I guess Pavlovich lost all of his hype. Like, I remember when Pavlovich had like a 6 or 7 fight win streak or something, and he was supposed to be the next champ of the division, and then he lost to Tom Aspinall and Alexander Volkov, and everybody forgot about him being good anymore. And I mean, I get it. Like Aspinall, he got knocked out in the first round, so that's not really something you can really defend very well. That was for the interim belt when John Jones was injured, and then Pavlovich kind of got diced up by a Volkov jab for 15 straight minutes, and he didn't look that good. But Volkov is a unique individual for that division, and I think Volkov also doesn't get enough respect. So to me, I'm just not knocking Pavlovich as much as the public is here. And I say that because Pavlovich, and I say that, but Pavlovich is still a minus 290 favorite against Rosenstrike. So don't get me wrong, the public isn't saying that Pavlovich is bad. I just think it's one of those spots where you see a guy 0-2 in his last 2 fights, and you wonder like why is he such a big favorite? Well, it's because he definitely has just as much power, I would say, as Jairzinho Rosenstrike, and he definitely has a speed advantage. He's younger by 4 years. I argue that he has a better chin. I mean, it's been a few years, but Jairzinho Rosenstrike was finished by Alexander Volkov. At least Pavlovich went the distance. And Jairzinho Rosenstrike just hasn't been very consistent in his career. Never really putting a 3 fight win streak together except for his really earlier UFC career. And that's what he's trying to do here against Pavlovich. I just don't see it happening. I think Pavlovich has higher chance for KO win, higher chance for a decision win, and there's zero chance any wrestling occurs here. So by process of elimination, those are all the methods of winning a fight. And I think it'll be a good option here to go Pavlovich plus Page as a nice little parlay for Saturday afternoon. Jose, any thoughts?
Yeah, so for this one, we're going to agree. I also have Sergey Pavlovich as my three weight, and the way I see this fight going down, the reason why I went with him is because not he is a tank. Dude is massive. He's thick, and his reach advantage. He has a 6-inch reach advantage over Yarzino Rosenstrike. So that being said, I think that along with the explosiveness he possesses in that punching power, I think it can be lights out for Jairzinho Rosenstrike. I think this fight may play out similar to how when Francis Ngannou beat Jairzinho Rosenstrike. I think because Jairzinho Rosenstrike is a very technical fighter and he does have knockout power. I mean, more like 13 out of his 15 wins come via KO/TKO. So he can make it lights out for Sergey Pavlovich himself. But in his last fight in August against Tai Tuivasa, Sergey he won via split decision. And to me, it's like, well, he's only 36 years old. He's not that old. But I just like going split decision against Tai Tuivasa is insane because Tai Tuivasa I never really thought of as much of a technical striker. He's just he's got the power and he's just a big boy that likes to swing and can take hard hits himself. So in at Sergey, like he himself, he can take hits, but I think he has a much more of a chin than Tai Tuivasa. And again, the last few fights, Tom Aspinall, obviously he's the current interim champion. He's a young specimen in the heavyweight division. And then Alexander Volkov, he's just, looking just really good right now in this point of his career, even though he still has that split loss to Cyril Gane. He's still just a major threat in the heavyweight division just with his reach and kickboxing IQ. And Sergey, he can deal with people with high level kickboxing IQs, but I just think like he's just been kind of like outpaced. Like Tom Aspinall was a lot faster than him, and Alexander Volkov just had a bigger reach than him. And I think Jairzinho Rozenstruik doesn't offer any of those. It's just a smart fight IQ, but I just think Sergey Pavlovich will be able to withstand his punches and kicks and just march him down and just pretty much finish him. And I think probably even the first round, to be honest. I mean, I do think this fight may play something similar to when Francis beat Jairzinho. And if it doesn't happen in the first round, I think it will happen in the second round. So that being said, yeah, this one I'm going with Sergey. I'm going with what's his nickname? The Russian polar bear, or
Yeah, I
so
think
I'm
it's just
going with
polar bear or something. Yeah,
oh. Okay, yeah, so yeah, I'm going with the polar bear for sure in this one. So I agree with you 100% on this one. He is also my three-weight, Nick.
sounds good. So honestly, as crazy as it is, I think this might be a show first, in which our last fight discussed of the night ends up being the lock, because we had so many disagreements that our five weights we didn't. Well, we did agree. Actually, no, because I'm wrong. Because Izzy still got seven, because he was my two weight. So still technically Izzy is the lock. But Pavlovich, as the last fight pick of the night for us here, still pulls a lot of weight with 6 confidence points because he's both of our three weights. And that, yeah, I think that just goes to show, maybe instead of MVP, then you take Izzy plus Sergey Pavlovich for a little two-leg moneyline MMA endorsed parlay. But other than that, thanks for listening. As I understand it, we have a lot of fights coming up in a row here. Quick reminder too, while I'm thinking about it, that the fights this Saturday are in the morning, 8 a.m. Central Time with the prelims. So if you want to get that main event, you'll want to get up and get ready for some morning / early afternoon fights. But other than that, we are going to have a nice cocktail of fights coming for us in a row. We're going to be pleased with UFC 312 a week from Saturday. Duplessis for Strickland. So that'll be a crazy weekend. We're going to get UFC 312 and the Super Bowl, I believe. No, sorry, that's actually the weekend after, because there's a week. No, wait, no, sorry. No, I'm thinking too much about it. Izzy is already the week in between the Super Bowl. So yeah, we're going to get UFC 312 and then the Super Bowl the next day. It's going to be a pretty exciting weekend. But with that said, at least as the UFC schedule shows right now, we're gonna have like two months straight of fights with every Saturday, 2 months. So make sure to subscribe. Make sure to be here every Monday afternoon. We're gonna be live around 5:30 Central Time to give our picks, and ride with us because we're hot lately on another 5-weight streak. And I was 3-1 with Benil Dariush not fighting last week. So that's it. Thanks for listening and have a good week.